Howdy hackers, and welcome to another episode of FairLight TV. This time we're also experimenting a bit with a green screen background and adding a little bit of a new background rather than the old FairLight blanket. So this one is the crack intro from Gremlins 2, I believe. Gremlins 2, yeah, it was. That was possibly taking the ambition to minimize the intros into something really, really small to the extreme. I can't say that this is the most beautiful piece of intro we have ever put out. I guess I'm also responsible for the logo up there. Yeah, sorry about that. Something that is nice is the new FairLight TV t-shirts. Yes! Finally available. Order them on redbubble.com. There will be a link down in the description below, I hope. So check out. Pause this, go to redbubble.com and see if you want to order FairLight TV t-shirts and support the show by ordering one. Okay, now today's episode will be about something that confuses a number of people. I've tried to explain this a number of times to a number of people, and I realized that it is rather difficult. So I have now kind of ironed down what I wanted to say about this, and this is it. We are going to talk about Petscii. Yes, how the C64 handles characters. That includes Petscii, but it also includes the very confusing concept of screen codes. So bear with me, this might be a bit confusing, well, like the previous episodes haven't been confusing, but yeah, let's dive into it. So, Petscii and screen codes, two different forms of representing characters on the C64. Petscii is the equivalent of ASCII on a modern, bigger computer. American Standard Code for Information Interchange or Integration or whatever that stands for, and Petscii is the same, only with pet in the beginning. So Petscii, let's first kind of iron out the issue with the first potential misconception. A number of people are drawing, making graphics from the standard font on the C64, and this concept is called Petscii. So people tend to think that just because it's using the standard font, it is Petscii. Yeah, well, if you are generating that graphics using Petscii code, yes, then Petscii it is exactly what you see. But normally that graphics is stored as screen codes and color memory. So what you actually see is C64 graphics built from the font, but not necessarily Petscii. That became even more confusing. But let's dive into it. So Petscii is the table of characters, and it includes stuff like control characters. So you can have reverse on and off. You can have colors, so there is a control character in Petscii for setting each of the 16 colors. But you can also move the cursor, so you can print, cursor up, cursor left, cursor down, and then start printing again. Which means that you can basically do typing on the keyboard, but you just do it the other way around. You are printing as if somebody was typing from the keyboard. And people recollecting the old the old fashion, then one of the stuff that was around on the C64 was the concept of writers. There you just typed in stuff on the keyboard and then it played it back. So you can send out an executable file that basically had recorded your typings and then just post them on the screen. And that was sort of what Petscii is all about. It is the text is stored there, and you can change a number of the factors like reverse, like control, cursor and color and all of that. Whereas screen codes, think of screen codes as the data you put on the screen that reference the same, the visual for that character in the font. I don't know if that made any sort of sense, but if you take the example of an A, the Petscii value for the A is 40. Should be 41, right? Yeah, so the Petscii value for an A is 41. But when you print it, the screen code is 01. And that means that the visual representation of what will show up on the screen for the screen code 1 is 8 times into the font. So character 0 is on 0. The 8-byte is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then for character 1, the character that you will see on the screen is, of course, then 8, 9, and onwards. So the graphical representation of an A is on the 0 plus 8 bytes into the font. But to kind of give a deeper description of that, so the Petscii value for turning on reverse mode is 12, so hex 12. I tend to reference this in hex. So if you print 12 and then 40, you would have a reverse A. And on the screen, you would have a screen code 81. Because the font is the first section of the font is normal, and the second part of the font is reversed. So if you set the high bit of any screen code, you are presenting the reversed version of the font if you're using the standard font. If you use a custom font, you, of course, the screen code reference something in your font, and we don't know what that is. Only you who drew the font would know that. So here you see that two characters, the 12 and the 40, in Petscii represents a reverse character. And every character you print after you turn on reverse mode is also going to be reversed. So that control character will affect all the subsequent characters you print. Let's add another layer of complexity to it. If you print 5, that means that you're setting the current cursor code to white. Okay. I just picked any random color. It's just that white is the first one that comes in the table, hence picking that one. So if you print 12, 5, and 40, that means that you set reverse, you set the color to white, and then you print the A. I should say 41. What have I done? I'm confusing you here. So forget the 40s. They're all 41s. So 12, 05, 41... all in hex, that prints a reverse white A on the screen. The screen code for this is 81, so that didn't change. But what happened when you print the 5 was that when you printed that A, it also set 01 white in the color memory. So when you are going to grab the printed graphics or the graphics drawn using the standard font, commonly known as Petscii, rather confusing, but commonly known as Petscii, you need to take the content of the screen and the content of the color memory. Or you could have the real Petscii values using all the control characters. So let's see how this is used. In BBSs, you have lots of fancy graphics. All of that is Petscii. That's pure Petscii with all the control characters. You can't send graphics to a BBS, to the local sysop, with the screen codes and color memory and say, here is my graphics. Now you can use that on your BBS. They cannot use that. They need to have a file that is the real Petscii with all the control characters to it. And then when you print from the BBS, because that is what actually happens, you print a file to the screen, which is the visuals that the BBS would like to present. Then that file is in Petscii format. normally when you have tools, they tend to export real Petscii as a sequence or a sec file. And that's just custom. I mean, a normal program file has 2 bytes in the beginning that denotes the load address, whereas a sequential file, that's just a stream of bytes. There is no need for any start address because it's not going to be placed in memory. You just take it and print it if the file is actually some sort of printable, like a Petscii file. So let's have a look at the tables here, and I hope that will bring a bit more clarity to it. So what you see now on the screen are 2 tables. One is, sorry, I should scroll to the top on both of them. This one on the left is C64 screen codes, and this on the right is C64 Petscii code. I've fetched, or I just show you here from sta.c64.org. So 2 tables. Sta is the guy that coded the old tool Star Commander, a very, very good tool that most people used back, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. One of the really early kind of commander tools, like the Norton Commander and the 2 window file management tools. So if you wanted to manage your C64 files or D64 or Lynx files or TAP files or all the formats that it supported, copy files between them and all of that, Star Commander was the tool for the purpose. Sta hasn't updated his page in a long time as far as I can see, but the information still there is still highly valid, and there are still a number of tools that can be used and really should be used for a number of purposes. The only issue is that if you're running them under Windows 10, you really can't use them because they're 16-bit programs. Well, anyway, that's not the purpose of this. The purpose was to show you the Petscii codes and the screen codes. So what you see on the right here is the table of the Petscii. So here is the index Petscii in decimal and in hex, and then there is one column that tells you the purpose of that value. And then there is another column with a new hex value and then the purpose of that. So these are 4 columns or 4 iterations of 2 columns. It's basically, you could convert this to a very, very long table, but rather than doing that, it's made into a more compact form, I guess. So what you see here, what I said before was that 5 is white. So this is the Petscii for turning the value of what is supposed to be printed into white henceforward. I confused you in the previous segment by indicating the hex value 40, but that is the alpha sign. So 41 is A. If I said anything else, forget that. The A is 41 in Petscii. And when you print it, so running it through the print routine FFD2 in the kernel, then what you see on the screen is an A. So 0, 1, the A, screen code 1 is an A. If you add or if you set the highest bit, it will become 81, and then it's reverse A. But that's not how Petscii does it. So if you want to print a reversed A, you first need to do where is that? Was it 12? Yeah, so hex 12. Here you have reverse on. Hex 12 means reverse on, and then you print your A, 41, and what you will get on the screen is 81, a reversed A. So those 2 Petscii characters together generate an A. What color is that? We don't know. It was what was in the color buffer or set as the current color when you printed it. So if you would also make sure that you get a particular color on the character you're printing, you need to set something like white for 05 here. But what you see here is that you can enable and disable Commodore in Shift. That is the function on the C64 keyboard that toggles between uppercase and lowercase. That's one of the modes, and the other mode is graphics and uppercase. Okay, so but if you don't want the user to be able to toggle between those two, then you should lock it, and then you do that using disable Commodore plus shift, and then you can enable it again using printing 9. So 8 disable, 9 is disabling it. And you can also see that you can fully control the cursor movement. So you can do a home, 13. You can do a clear screen, which is 93. So it's the 13, but also the high bit set. You can print and delete. So if you print something and then you just add a number of delete characters, that means that you can write and then delete. So, and what happens on the screen? Yeah, you print the screen code. So what happens on the screen when you do a delete is that it will probably replace the current characters with a space. I hope you get some sort of clarity of the difference between Petscii and screen codes. And Petscii is not graphics drawn using the standard font. It's the representation of characters, including all the control characters. Yeah, that was everything I planned to say for this episode. I hope you have been enlightened of what Petscii is and the concept of screen code, how they compare. I will not show you the comparison table where you can see how the tables correlate. What is printed turns out to be what. You can just take your Petscii table and print it and see what ends up on your screen. Take that as your homework until next week. But before that, do order one of the super nice FairLight TV t-shirts. Support the show, order the t-shirts, and see you next time. Bye bye.